Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Final Disaster. This is Battlefield 1. In today's weapon duel, we're going to be taking a closer look at the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman and the Mondragon Sniper, two DMRs exclusive, of course, to the medic class in Battlefield 1. When you're comparing their performance and ideal playstyle, as well as which of these guns is the better pick for you on the battlefield. Now, to start things off, as per usual, we're going to be covering the stats of these two weapons, however in a limited scope of detail, as I have already done a weapon review of each one of these guns separately. You'll find them linked both down below in the description or in the info card above if you wish to get a little bit more detail on the base performance of these weapons, because the focus, of course, of today's video is more going to be about playstyle and comparing these two to figure out which one is best and when which one of these guns is the better choice. With that being said, let's get into our quick stat rundown, starting off with the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. We've got a standard damage model here for both rifles today, that is to say the same damage model with a maximum damage of 40 and a minimum damage of 35, a guaranteed 3-shot body shot kill at all ranges. The rate of fire on the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman is relatively low for DMRs in this game at 224 rounds per minute. To compensate for this, however, we have a massive magazine size at 26 or 25 plus 1 in the chamber bullets available, which means running out of bullets with this gun is close to impossible unless you're either a godly player or going up against 10 people at a time. Moving on then next to muzzle velocities, an important factor for DMRs at 800 meters per second. This is faster than actually any sniper rifle in Battlefield 4. Nevertheless, it can't get any sympathy points here over the Mondragon Sniper, which has actually the identical muzzle velocity. Moving on next then to reload times. This is one of the strengths of the Selbstlader. Combined with its huge magazine size comes a relatively quick reload, and that's because it's a magazine fed rifle, meaning the short reload here, that's to reload all your bullets, but unless you have 0 left, which means if you have 1 bullet left in your chamber, you're going to be doing a reload at 2.3 seconds. If you go through all your bullets, your reload is a little bit longer at 3.4 seconds. However, you shouldn't really be hitting this reload too frequently because, frankly, there's a few situations which you have to go through all your bullets and still there's a target left standing, or you use your last bullet to kill that last target. You're not going to be hitting this long reload too frequently, at least not in my personal experience. With that being said, let's move on then next to recoil. Recoil vertical here, typical for a DMR, is at 1. The first shot recoil multiplier is at 1. Recoil to the left and right is equal at 0.3. It's a DMR, recoil isn't of the most importance. However, this weapon is relatively controllable, as you would expect from a weapon dedicated or directed more at long range combat. Moving on then to the accuracy of the Selbstlader, and this is actually identical to that of the Mondragon. We've got a base ADS here of 0.12, an ADS while moving of 1.02, and hipfire value, that's while standing and while moving, at 3. In other words, only hipfire this weapon in very extreme close quarter situations. Otherwise, aim down sight, you can move around a little bit, especially recommended if you're fighting against a sniper. However, if you're safe from sniping, then you may want to stand still and you will be hitting your targets much more reliably. Now, with that being said, there's one more number that I want to cover here because it's important when comparing this gun to the Mondragon Sniper, and that is the spread increase per shot. In other words, if you fire this weapon at your maximum fire rate available to you, you will increase your base ADS value by 0.125 every shot. Now, this is less than the Mondragon Storm, as we'll learn in a minute, and this can actually make a difference to the performance of your weapon. However, with the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman now being covered, let's move on to the Mondragon Sniper. We've got the same damage model here, max damage of 40, minimum damage of 35. We do, however, have a higher fire rate at 257 rounds per minute. This can make the difference in close quarter situation, even long range. However, as we'll get to in just a moment, fire rates are a little bit more complex with DMRs than they are, for example, with automatic weapons. Coming with the higher fire rate, sadly, is a smaller magazine. At 10 rounds, you're going to be running out of bullets a lot faster with the Mondragon Sniper than you would be with the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. Muzzle velocity, as previously mentioned, is identical here at a very fast, snappy 800 meters per second. Reload times are more complicated on the Mondragon Sniper because it is not a magazine-fed weapon, but instead, sadly, is a single bullet or clip bullet reload mechanism. To sum up the information available on our reloads, essentially it's going to take you longer to reload this gun in almost any situation than it would to take to reload the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. To give you two numbers, the shortest possible reload you can make, that's a single bullet, it's going to take you 2.067 seconds. Reloading a clip, that's 5 bullets, is going to take you 2.0633 seconds. Obviously, this is going to be an even longer reload if you, for example, have to reload 6 or 7 bullets, where you then combine single or 2 bullet reload times with the reload time of a clip. With that being said, all you really need to know for the sake of this comparison, as said, is the Mondragon takes a significantly longer amount of time to reload, and because of its smaller magazine size, will have to be reloaded more frequently. With that being said, let's move on then to recoil. We have very similar recoil to the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. Frankly, in practice, I would argue the difference is not noticeable. However, technically in the number sheets, there is a small difference. We have, however, an identical vertical recoil and first shot recoil multiplier, both as with the Selbstlader at 1. However, recoil to left and right, while equal, similar to the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman, is minimalistically higher at 0.3 to both the left and to the right. Moving on then to the accuracy of the Mondragon, and this is almost identical to the Selbstlader. We have the same base ADS of 0.12, same moving ADS at 1.02, and the same hipfire value at 3, so the same rules apply to the Mondragon sniper as they do to the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. However, the penalty for firing at the maximum fire rate for the Mondragon sniper is double that of the Selbstlader M1916. That is to say, spread increase per shot, and that really only applies if you don't give the gun any time to decrease its spread between shots. As said, when using the gun at its maximum fire rate, increases at 0.25 per shot versus the Selbstlader's 0.125. You should always keep this in mind with DMRs in generally. Don't fire them at the maximum available fire rate. However, especially when considering the Mondragon sniper, you're going to want to avoid this because ADS quickly spirals out of control and your gun gets relatively inaccurate. Now, catching my breath a little bit after talking for 5 to 6 minutes about numbers and decimal points, as you can see, these guns are relatively similar in a number of different points, however has some key differences that I would like to highlight. The Selbstlader puts out less damage per second. It's got a lower fire rate. The Selbstlader, however, has a higher magazine size, in 9 out of 10 situations will reload faster, and technically is going to be a little bit more accurate under sustained fire than something like the Mondragon sniper would be. And this already starts leading us into a little bit more of the comparative element and which gun trumps the other. Now, it's obvious, I think, to most people who have used these weapons that the Mondragon sniper is going to be a more difficult weapon to use as effectively as the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. As most of you who will have used this weapon a little bit more extensively, and I have used the Mondragon sniper quite extensively, will know you spent quite a lot of time listening to those very satisfactory, however sadly very long, reloading animations taking place. You're reloading the Mondragon sniper constantly. You have to keep your magazine topped up because frankly, if you engage 2 targets with less than 6, 7, 8 bullets, you're going to be in trouble and you don't want to get into that situation. So here's where we can start outlining the characteristics of these guns, how they differ in their core strengths. Well, the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman isn't as good at close quarter. It comes down to the amount of damage it can put out than the Mondragon. The Mondragon is better at close quarter. Then again, both of these guns, while relatively flexible and good at both medium and long range, are not the best DMRs to be using at close quarter. For a matter of fact, they're some of the worst DMRs to be using at close quarters. It doesn't mean they can't get the job done. However, they aren't very good at doing it. So if you're going for close quarter combat, you shouldn't be choosing these weapons. If you're going for a more flexible setup, you may find yourself in close quarter situations with the rifles. And then on a one-to-one target basis, I would much prefer the Mondragon sniper because I can just simply put out more damage. On the other hand, as I've just noted, on a one-to-one basis, if you face 3 targets, there's practically almost no situation where the Mondragon sniper has got enough bullets for you to take them all down. You're on your sidearm, and with DMRs at medium range, sidearms are relatively unreliable. In other words, you're in a little bit of a pickle. This is where the Selbstlader can start to shine. It may not be able to put its damage out just as quickly, but it can reload its gun faster. It doesn't really have to reload unless you've gone through about 5, 6 targets because it's got a massive magazine size, and at that, while under sustained fire, engaging multiple targets at its maximum fire rate or close to it, it doesn't become as inaccurate as the Mondragon sniper does. And this is a key benefit, and it's easier to use than the Mondragon sniper. So where does this lead us really? Well, the Selbstlader, quite simply put, is the better gun, sadly, in most situations. I say this sadly is because the Mondragon sniper looks and feels even cooler than the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman does. At least in my personal experience, I love this weapon for the aesthetics, the feels, and how it really handles. However, on a practical scale, the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman likely will net you the better results, unless, however, you're in a situation where you're not going to be facing targets too frequently in bunches. That is to say, you usually only face 1 or 2 targets at a time before having a little bit of time to re-engage your next target. Then the Mondragon sniper, technically, if you make sure that you don't fire at its maximum fire rate, you will be getting out more damage than you will from the Selbstlader Marksman, because despite having to fire a little bit under its maximum fire rate, more than, for example, the Selbstlader, you still will end up with a higher fire rate than the Selbstlader, because there is quite a bit of a difference here at 43 additional rounds per minute that you can put out with this gun over these Selbstladers. That means, of course, also it's better at close quarter. Clutch situation, you run into somebody, you're better off with the Mondragon, but all this only applies for 1 or 2 targets. As soon as you move into the realm of trying to take on 3, 4, or 5 targets, which frankly you do find yourself doing at especially medium and long ranges when you're playing operations or conquest, you're better off with the Selbstlader, because while the Mondragon won't get you killed in this situation, so you're long enough, you're far enough away to be able to take cover and hide and reload your gun, you will however not get those 2 extra kills that you could have been able to get with the Selbstlader M1916 Marksman. So to sum this all up, are both of these guns extremely flexible for DMRs, that is to say? Yes. Are both of these guns very good? Yes. Is one of them a little bit better? Sadly, yes. The Selbstlader M1916 Marksman is just simply the better choice. There's a reason why it's the most frequently used DMR, at least in my personal experience from what I get killed in the medic class in Battlefield 1. The Mondragon sniper is one of my favorite guns. It's very competent, but it requires a little bit of finesse, managing reload, hiding behind cover more often, and frankly, if it comes tooth to nail, you're looking for the better choice, the Selbstlader usually is going to be that choice. With that being said, let me know down below in the comments what you think. Have I missed a key strength of the sniper or the Selbstlader that I have not included in this video? Do you agree with my analysis that the Selbstlader is a slightly better choice in most situations simply because of its faster reload and because, most importantly, of its larger magazine size? Or do you think the Mondragon sniper is the better gun for whatever reason you'd wish to state? Feel free to leave all those opinions and your experiences down below in the comment, as well as, of course, your usual video suggestions both for Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 4. But with all that being said, I'd like to thank you very much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next Battlefield 1 video.